So we were with you earlier before to talk about well, I don't want to use the word mess, but everything going on with the goalkeepers from Setford's position because of this Sam Tickle article or let's say approach that we want to make, whatever it is, interest from Arsenal to get him as a third choice goalkeeper. Dan Bentley's still on the scene, and Johan Garcia was going to come in as the second choice if Aaron Ramsdale leaves. And he is leaving. He's going to Southampton for £18 million, rising up to £25 million. I'll be honest, at the time of recording, a bit lazy of me. I haven't jumped into the exact details. I will have a little look at the article because David Ornstein has tweeted literally as I hit record. So have a little look at what he has to say. What we do know is 18 to 25 million. It's Southampton. Wolves were looking to do a loan with an obligation or option that we weren't too happy with. We know that Bournemouth were interested at one point, and Southampton were looking like they were going to go get Justin Bijlow, who obviously plays his football in the Netherlands, but that deal didn't happen. Goalkeeper that I only know of because of Football Manager. He's supposedly quite good. They've gone for Aaron Ramsdale instead, which should trigger our approach for Johan Garcia.
Yeah.
Cecil, we're back. I think as I get the details of what the add-ons entail, I imagine it's things to do like staying in the Premier League and things like that. I'll go into that, and there's some really good points made by the likes of Clive from Arsenal Vision, which I'll go through and stuff. It's a very underwhelming fee. Like, while I'm happy this saga's done, and ultimately I hope we get our backup for less than we've made on the Ramsdale deal, right? I want us to profit off selling Ramsdale and signing Garcia. It's still a pretty underwhelming fee we've got in the end.
Yeah, so if you obviously, when he came in, I thought it was around 35 million. We got Ramsdale for 35 million. So
no, I think 24
25
30.
With add-ons, yeah, sorry. So you're correct. So then here 18. I know some people might push to say with the add-ons as well, it could get to 24, 25 for Aaron Ramsdale. So you kind of half made back your money. I still think, like you mentioned, I think it's still underwhelming, that fee. I think you'd want more. Only because, maybe as well, because I rate him quite highly. I think we spoke about this in the last video. Like, I think like I keep mentioning, the gap between him and Raya is not massive. So I feel like he's definitely worth more than what we were getting for him. It's an interesting one. I thought about the loan that they were looking at first, and I actually questioned that because I know Arsenal turned it down because they probably wanted a sale for him. But with the Fabio Vieira one, I know he's gone on loan, but I know that Arsenal pushed for Fabio Vieira, to make sure he has many minutes on the pitch, make sure he's playing. I know he got given a 10 shirt. I know they pushed to make sure he gets minutes. I feel like they could have potentially done a loan with an obligation to buy, but guaranteed that Ramsdale, is playing, because I have a bit of an attachment, obviously, to Aaron Ramsdale in the sense that he could be going to Southampton, and I hope they stay up, but it seems like from the outset,
it's not a great move, is it?
Yeah, it's exactly.
I don't want to be. Look, it's happened now, but it's not a great move. I'll be really honest on that.
And that's exactly how I feel, James. I feel like, and maybe because I rate him highly, the fact that he could play for a better Premier League club. I think he could have got a bigger move to a bigger club, and especially when the talk around it. I mean, I'm just literally, before we went live, I was watching the David Seaman interview, and he speaks about he should be playing at a good level because he wants to push for the World Cup 2026. So, not saying he can't do that for Southampton. I mean, Jordan Pickford's England's number one. He's at Everton, and I don't obviously offend the Evertonians, but still, I just think Ramsdale is a better level than, and I don't want to put down the move because it's a good move, but he could be going somewhere higher, and I wish we got a bit more money, and I wish it was a better club.
Yeah, I mean, it's an underwhelming. I don't want to offend Southampton fans because I like Southampton. I think especially for the 10 or so years they're in the Premier League, the way they would churn out talent and sort of, have their best players constantly plucked from them, and they'd find a way to kind of keep bouncing back. I had so much admiration for them. They went down to the Championship, they came straight back up, and they played good football doing it. So, look, there's every chance Southampton are a good side throughout this campaign, and they make it difficult for clubs. And what was their last result? I can't remember. I'll have a look in a sec. But this is a good sign for them. And then Rams is a really good goalkeeper. Who will do well for them. But I just think, having got us into the Champions League, he was good enough to be playing for a club that were playing in Europe. But we know that doesn't always happen with goalkeepers. The best goalkeepers aren't always playing for the best clubs because there's only one spot, right? Otherwise he'd just say Arsenal will be number 2 and hope some game time, but it just never works like that for goalkeepers. I also just want to stress that there's kind of mixed reporting around this. I mean, I want to give credit to Lyle Thomas of Sky Sports, who was the first to break the news that it was an £18 million fee, rising potentially to 25. It is worth saying that Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein are very much leading with it's a £25 million deal, including
Correct.
add-ons.
That's
And
what
I think,
Fabrizio's gone with.
and what's interesting is sometimes the difference in the wording, 18 million, but it could go to 25 makes you think, well, it's probably 18, but when they're flying in with, no, it's a £25 million deal, it makes you feel that the add-ons are a little bit more achievable. If we're getting 25 million, we pay 24 to 30. Like, it's not great, but we've just about made our money back a little bit, I guess. I said on another reaction I did that, maybe the fact that we got Raya for a good deal, we just have to make ourselves feel better about that one. We didn't get quite as much as we wanted for Ramsdale, but maybe we paid less than we thought we would have for a David Raya. So
yeah.
It's not great. I mean, the Athletic do say that we're going to now advance efforts to sign Espanyol goalkeeper Jan Garcia. And I think this is where kind of the real success in this whole goalkeeper saga lies. Do you get Jan Garcia, who's a very competent backup, who comes in, shows composure, can do really well? I hope so. I don't know much about the player. I hope he can come in and do all those things. And when he does, is coming in for 10 to 15 million at most. Like, you've at least made money on sorting that goalkeeper situation out. I think we find ourselves in a position where we're paying his release clause, which is something like 25 million euros. Then it's like, oh my word, like, here we go again. We've paid big money for a number 2, and it just doesn't sit great. Ultimately,
it wouldn't feel right. I feel like Arsenal, surely they're more savvy than that. I've said this many times in videos, but surely they're more savvy than that. I think 15 million at most, like you said, especially if he's coming in as a number 2. But then again, we paid a lot of money for our number 2s. You said it, Aaron Ramsdale, 25 million. Raya, to be fair, Raya, I suppose, was on loan at first and then got, I think it was a 20 million deal overall. So it's not too bad. But
they always came, sorry to cut you, so they always came with the view to being number 1. We knew the day we signed Ramsdale, like, Leno's not got long. Like, Leno will be out of this team quite quickly.
I'll be honest, I didn't really, maybe that's just me being naive. I didn't actually know he was going to be moved on that quickly. I'll be honest. Even the Ramsdale David Raya thing,
well,
I didn't expect it. I'll be honest. And even with this Garcia one, I'm so like, I'm indifferent because I'm like, what are you coming here for? Not to say to push out David Raya, because Raya's he's competent enough. I like David Raya, and obviously I was singing his name literally at the Aston Villa game. He's becoming a bit of a favourite now as well. But I'd feel a bit nervy if I was Raya. Maybe I'm completely way left.
About that.
Maybe I'm way left.
I've got to say, actually, looking back on it, I didn't think Raya was necessarily coming to definitely be number 1. I thought he'd push, and I thought there was a good chance he might. I didn't really know. I low-key believed Arteta's, well, I might swap goalkeepers mid-game.
I did as well.
This guy would try anything. I mean, I didn't completely rule that out. But I would add that Garcia, for me, definitely feels like a number 2 coming in. But it's like we said on the original video, 22-year-old isn't going to want to play, second fiddle to David Raya for his whole career. So we might have sold it for another year, maybe 2. And if he's brilliant, then great. Competition's great. It keeps Raya sharp. But that's what City fans are saying. Ortega was so good when he stepped in at times for Edison that actually they wondered whether Edison should even be starting. That's kind of what we want from our number 2.
Where do you see Garcia getting minutes? Just quickly, sorry to cut you, James. Would you see him getting
cup games and hopefully some Champions League football? If obviously we're going to find out there'll be a live draw on AFTV. We'll be reacting to the Champions League AI generated Champions League draw. So so we'll be seeing who we're playing.
AI, by the way. AI, that is gonna be. Let me not talk about it.
You have Real Madrid away 4 times. Oh, have we? Oh, okay. I think he'll just play. I think he'll play some football in Europe a little bit because there's obviously more games there. And look, I'll say this: we need some cup runs. Desperately need some cup runs. I'm not brushing away any trophy and going, but we're going for the Premier League. We do not win enough silverware to have that level of arrogance, in my opinion. So he's got to be big in those games. So we'll see. It's been reported out by The Athletic. Fabrizio Romano, Sky Sports broke the news. It's a £25 million deal. And I think there was a good point. I mentioned Clive of Arsenal Vision. Let me just find his exact
why you find his exact words. It was actually 1-1 Cardiff City and Southampton. Southampton's just scored as we're recording right now. But Southampton's last game, they lost to Nottingham Forest 1-0.
At home, right?
Yeah, at home. So
that's look. I know it's only the second game, but they could be in a bit of trouble now. Clive made a really good point. he said, you can imagine the Ramsdale deal is approximately £25 million if they stay up. They're happy to pay. So I think that's probably right. It's probably something to do with staying in the Premier League means that those add-ons go from 18 to 25. But there is a sell-on clause apparently, and he goes on to say that even if they get relegated, then Arsenal get extra cash via a sell-on clause. Either way, we're sharing the best. He goes on to say a bit more, but that's interesting now. So have Arsenal put themselves in a position quite cleverly where it's okay? If they stay up, we get our 25 million. And you know what? I felt we should have been looking for around 30 to 35 million. So it's not miles off that. But if they go down, what is that sell on? Is it 20%? I don't know. At the time of recording, I can't see anything that tells us what a sell on is. And let us know in the comments if you do know. And that would be interesting because let's say he then goes for another.
He will go for another move to maybe another.
Right. So if he goes for 20 million and we've got 20% on that, what's 10% of 20
4
million?
million?
It'd be 2 million. So you've got 4 million coming in added to the 18 million we've already. You know what I mean? Like this is, I think, how Arsenal are probably looking at it a little bit. So I don't know. Listen, it's all a bit underwhelming. I wish Aaron Ramsdale all the best. By the way, I think he can play brilliantly there. I think he could become England number one there, and I think Southampton can, especially with Ramsdale in goal, and whatever other business they're doing, give it a good fight and maybe stay up. Why not? They're a club that have come into the Premier League and are very accustomed to this division. They absolutely are. But I just thought he was going to get, at worst, a team you knew would get in the top 10 or near enough, and then maybe European football. That move hasn't materialised. So it is what it is.
It was conversation.
I really like Southampton. Good club.
They are a good club, and I don't want to. Again, we don't annoy too many fans, but like I remember conversations of United. I remember flexing that saying, "Would you take Aaron Ramsdale at United?" So like those were the levels I was kind of putting Ramsdale in. Like you said top 10. I'm saying like top 8, top 6 clubs. I was thinking, and I think he deserves it. I think he's good enough and got good enough quality there. So when I saw Southampton, a little bit underwhelmed, but at the end of the day, listen, it is what it is. As long as he's happy and he's playing, which I think I've mentioned it many times, the most important thing is to be playing. Then it is what it is. It is what it is. At least the club are doing business. But yeah.
Well, let's see. We'll keep you up to date on what happens with Jan Garcia, everyone. But that's it. Aaron Ramsdale is leaving. You asked me a couple of weeks ago. I was saying that I just felt he wasn't going to go. I didn't feel the suitors were there. Obviously, different clubs have come in than the ones we thought at the beginning of the window. And Southampton have got the deal done. They didn't get the Justin Bieler deal done. So now they've moved to Aaron Ramsdale. Wolves were there at one point. Bournemouth were there at one point. But they've landed with each other. Southampton and Ramsdale. That is the deal that's happening. £18 million, but add-ons taking it to 25 million. A lot of the language makes it sound like that 25 million is perfectly achievable in terms of the add-ons. So I think we can just take it as a £25 million deal, really. Cecil, big thanks to you, man. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this update, people. We will be back a little bit later with a reaction to the Carabao Cup draw. Yes. And I was talking earlier about we need some cup runs. Let's see who Garcia could be facing first, if he is the goalkeeper that comes in. And we'll see what happens on that third choice keeper as well. Big thanks, everyone. Catch you all in a bit.